At Corner Property Management, we were founded on the principle that property management should be personal, proactive, and professional. We specialize in serving community associations across Pennsylvania and New Jersey, delivering transparency, responsiveness, and tailored solutions. Our goal is to give board members the knowledge and support they need to lead with confidence. Today's presenter for our presentation or for our seminar is Dina Nardone, our insurance coordinator. Dina has been serving as an insurance coordinator with Corner Property Management since January 2022, where she supports boards and managers through the insurance renewal and policy management process. Dina earned her insurance license in March 2021 and quickly put it to work, bringing dedication and attention to detail to every client she supports. Before stepping into her current role, Dina gained valuable experience within Corner in a variety of positions, giving her a well-rounded understanding of how community associations operate. Her combined knowledge of insurance requirements and day-to-day association management makes her a trusted resource for both boards and managers. We were going to have a second presenter today, who unfortunately had a last-minute emergency and is unable to join the webinar, but we do think that there's a value in sharing information about who our second presenter is going to be. That would be Patty Kurtz, and she is our other insurance coordinator. Patty brings over 3 decades of experience in commercial insurance, beginning her career in 1991. She served as a multinational insurance specialist at Chubb and as an international underwriter at AIG before transitioning to agency work. Since earning her insurance license in 2003, Patty has worked with several agencies as a commercial lines insurance account manager. For the past 8 years, she's applied her expertise in as an insurance coordinator at Corner Property Management, where she supports community associations with specialized insurance needs. So right now, we're going to get started, and I'm going to turn it over to Dina to start talking about how Corner handles the insurance process. Dina, take it away.
Thank you, and good afternoon. Thank you all for coming. My name is Dina Nardone, and I am the insurance coordinator, one of the insurance coordinators for Corner Property Management. And I just would like to explain the process in a nutshell of what we do on our end. So what happens is approximately 45 days out, as the insurance coordinator, we will reach out to a property manager. The property manager is the liaison to the board because we don't have that access. The property manager will reach out to the board and inquire whether or not you are satisfied with your current agent. Not so much with your policy. We're asking about the agent specifically. Reasons you might not be satisfied with your agent could be you are receiving the renewal too late. The agent is not responsive. If you are satisfied with your agent, then no further action is truly required by you at this point. We will reach out to the agent and we will get the renewal for you. If by chance you are not satisfied with that agent, what we do is we will reach out to agents that we have a long-standing working relationship with. Those agencies who have been in the community association insurance for a lengthy period of time and are well-versed in that area. What we then do is we can probably reach out. We could probably skip to the next slide. What we do is we start to collect information from the files that we have. In other words, if we're reaching out to another agent, they need certain information in order to quote an insurance policy. They would need things like your budget. They would need things like your bylaws, possibly your current policy. They will reach out then to other carriers in hopes of gaining you the lowest premium with the best coverage. That's our goal. Our goal is to present you with a renewal with the least amount of premium, but the most coverage, the best coverage. If your current agent can produce that, then that's who we go with. If an agent that we're shopping out to can produce that, then that's who we would go with. Ultimately, it is your decision, however. At this time, there are applications that an agent might send to us. We in turn send it to the manager, who in turn sends it to you. There are market challenges as well, as there are not as many markets as we used to have. I would say the three biggest ones are Philadelphia, GNY, and CAU. So that's a consideration as well. If you are with an agent and the policy is with GNY, you'll probably get a quote from Philadelphia and or CAU if they're competitive. Mind you, they can't always go to these markets if they're not competitive. We strive to obtain these quotes 30 days prior to renewal. We like to give the board as much time as possible to review the renewal and or proposal from another agent so you can make a very informative decision. Also, during that time, we'd like to have that time if you want to meet with the agent. It's important to note that Patty and myself are not, although we have our insurance license, we are not the agent. We do not place the insurance. We in turn coordinate it. So answers to questions that are the nuances of your policies, we might not be able to answer, which is why we like to have you, if you need to, hop on a Zoom call with your agent, and they can answer questions directly. If you're concerned about the coverage that you have, or your deductible, or your premium, they can answer that directly. And then you have time to weigh the differences in the renewal and a possible proposal, which then does take me to a comparison chart. Andrew, would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Thanks, Dina. Now, I'm going to speak about this because I have 25 plus years of operations experience in community management as a manager, as a regional director. Worked for several companies, and what we find is one of the most difficult things in the industry for a manager to do is to ensure that there is an insurance renewal proposal presented to the board in a reasonable amount of time that is truly apples to apples, so the board can best understand what a renewal looks like and what with their current broker and current carrier, as well as competing bids, um, which may be better or may not be better for the association. But as board members understand, it is their fiduciary obligation to make sure that you are doing all the research necessary to get the best possible price for the best possible coverage. In order to do that, just going with one bid, sometimes more often than not, is not the best way to do it. And most likely your documents do not even allow it, and they require multiple bids come in. So what our insurance coordinators do is after they go out to the brokers to get multiple bids, our team puts together what you see on your screen, which is a comparison chart. Just like you would do with any project, if you're evaluating bids or proposals from vendors, you want to be able to compare apples to apples, not apples to oranges, so you have a full understanding of exactly what it is that you would be getting and what you're paying for. Our comparison chart goes very deep into this. It looks at the actual type of the coverage. What is the coverage that you're getting through that? What's in that package? What is the dollar amount that you're paying for? What coverage are you purchasing? And then what is your premium? What people don't often realize or think of is that depending on what your deductible it is, it greatly changes the cost of your premium. So sometimes boards have to make that business decision. If they want to lower the premium, sometimes you have to take a higher deductible. These are the things that our insurance coordinators work on and work with our managers on our boards to present. So that way there's a full understanding prior to binding any policies. And I do want to add, because I forgot to do it before, and I'm sorry, on the bottom of your screen, there is a Q&A button. If anybody has any questions as we go through this, please feel free to put any of your questions within that Q&A. And when we are done, we will have a brief Q&A session. So with that, Dina, if there's anything you want to add on the comparison chart, by all means. If not, we can move on.
Well, I just actually want to just add, a lot of times boards look at the bottom number. They look at the premium and they see which one is less, and that's the one that they go with. The comparison chart is important because it shows you the nuts and the bolts of the policy. Before I did insurance, I was a school teacher, and I always told my students it's not the product. We don't care about the product. We don't care that 2 + 2 is 4. How did you get 2 + 2? What is the process that you use? Same thing like insurance. It's not so much the bottom line, it's what goes into that bottom line. How did it get there? So it's so important to review your renewal and your proposal and just your policy in and of itself, if to make sure that it's exactly what you're looking for. I'm just going to complete by saying that once you do sign off, and that's another also very important part, when you do receive your renewal and or proposal, it's important to look at it as soon as possible. Because we do want to have that time to meet with the board or meet with the agent if needed. Once you just make your decision, and again, it's your decision, we can suggest, we might recommend, but it ultimately is your decision. Once that decision is made and you have signed your renewal, those renewals are either sent to your manager, who might be sent to me. I would send it to the agent. And at that time, Corner Property, we request information, documents from the agent to seal this deal, basically in what I'm saying. So we will request insurance policies. We will request a homeowner's letter that will be sent out and put on your portal for the homeowners to read. We will request a master certificate. We request a summary of insurance, which we send to our accounting department. And that's basically it. Like I said, we are the liaison between you and the agent, and the manager is the liaison between you and us. So if you have any questions, feel free to let me know.
Thank you, Dina. And before we jump into the questions, I just want to say, this process and this procedure has been put in place because we've found that far too often boards are put in the position where they have to bind a policy at the last minute because the manager simply forgot to go out to bid or forgot about the insurance renewal. Managers have a tremendous amount to focus on in their day-to-day, and oftentimes, unfortunately, the insurance renewal is something that's overlooked and not thought about until the very last minute. That's why we've put this department that are in our insurance coordinators in place to, one, lift that load off of the managers. One, and as well, and two, to give the boards a sense of confidence and relief about the fact that someone else, not just the manager, is looking out to make sure that insurance is bid out at the appropriate time in the appropriate way, so that way the association is receiving the best value for its money, and the best protection. Dina and Patty do a really great job of this. They're a huge asset to our managers and to our team, and we appreciate everything that they do. So with that, we're going to jump into some Q&A questions. And I've got a question here for you, Dina. Why is it important for the insurance coordinator to confirm the board's intention well before the renewal?
Because, wait, I'm sorry. Say the question one more time.
Sure, no problem. Why is it important for the insurance coordinator to confirm the board's intentions well before the renewal?
Well, we would like to we like to have that information well before the renewal so that the agent can bind coverage. If you wait until the last minute and there is some sort of an issue, or a board member looks at a little bit maybe closer and doesn't like this, that, or the other thing, what it can do is it affects your renewal date. You might incur a lapse in coverage or a higher premium or a non-renewal. It's important to get the renewal signed off, completed, and bound as early as possible for the sake of the coverage of your community.
Thank you, Dina. I think, again, it's so important. Insurance is such a key element to an association's budget and to an association in general, that to wait till the last minute on insurance is just not productive or fruitful for the association, which is why we try to do it just at the right time. Now, we can't do it too far out.
No, you cannot do it too far out. You have to do it within 30. Normally, a carrier will not release a quote before 30 days prior to renewal. So within those 30 days, we like to receive the quote and get it to the board so they have that ample time. Pushing it to the wayside and waiting and saying, well, we have 2 weeks, we have 3 weeks. It's not productive at all. It's not conducive to the community as a whole. We'd like to have that information as soon as possible to avoid any lapse in coverage, to avoid a non-renewal, or to avoid a premium increase if you don't sign it in time. These are some of the things that could happen, that could incur.
That's perfect. Thank you, Dina. Another follow-up question. What are some common mistakes boards make in the insurance renewal process?
Well, I mean, from what I have seen, it's not read carefully enough. Questions have not been asked. Again, it's pushed to the side because you find that you have a lot of time. For example, I have a board that their renewal is September 25th, and they just signed yesterday. That's fabulous. We have plenty of time to get it bound, plenty of time to get the renewals to them. So, I think really pushing it off, thinking that you have enough time, not reading it carefully enough, not asking the questions, and probably not asking for a call with the agent. Those are some really things that we can do that would help alleviate any type of concerns or questions you have about your policy.
Great. Thank you, Dina. Um, Another question for you. Let me see what we got here. What documents should a board expect to receive once the insurance policies are bound?
So the board will receive copies of, well, I don't know if to be honest with you, I'm not sure if the board themselves will receive this, but I do know they're on Vanica and they're on your portal. You will receive board members are entitled to full policies. Board members are entitled to a master COI, the summary of insurance. I don't believe loss runs, although I believe those are on the portal as well. So full policies and or binders, and a homeowner's letter, a master certificate of insurance, and a summary of insurance.
Great. Thank you, Dina. So we've got a question in the chat, and I'm going to tie that to another question that we received, and I'm going to give a stab at the answer here. It was mentioned that the higher the deductible, the lower the cost. Can you show the comparison chart again? So I will do that. Another question that we were asked in the chat is, what type of insurance brokers should associations be talking to? So I'm going to tie this together for you. Condominium association, common interest communities are very specialized. The insurance policies, the insurance packages for an association is very different from that of a single family HO6 policy, or very different than a policy that a carrier would write for a business. There is so much involved between common areas, units, limited common elements, delineation of responsibilities, that we always recommend that our communities go out to insurance carriers or brokers that understand condominium association insurance. So now, looking at the comparison chart, we talked about the deductible can lower the cost. Now here it says a higher deductible actually was a higher cost, but I do not know who and by the way, this is a sample sheet. Sometimes we do see this happen, though. When a broker goes to a carrier who does not specialize in associations and doesn't understand association insurance, oftentimes you might have a high deductible and a low premium, or a low deductible and a higher premium. Those are things that make us say, especially when we're doing the side-by-side comparison, and oftentimes helps us to eliminate some markets, because if they don't have an understanding when they're quoting your policy, they are not going to have an understanding of what's going on when they're actually paying out, or your policy is now being called because of a loss. So we always recommend that we go to those specialized markets that truly understand condominium associations and how they work and how the insurance works in those associations. Another question for you, Dina. Um, Maybe you can help. This is from Janet. What were the items that you and your department needs in advance to go to other brokers or a broker that or a new broker in order to go out to some outside markets that the association is not with currently?
So those items we often find in our document, in our files of corner property. They would be a current budget, a list of board members and their email addresses, the bylaws, a copy of the currently valued loss runs, which I receive from the current agent. Often these are sent to the manager, and the manager is able to get that information, and the board is not needed at all for information.
Great, Dina.
I do want to throw one thing out there, though, that I did fail to mention. I think it's an important thing to say. If when I was speaking in the beginning and talking about whether the options that the board has, they could stay with their current agent or shop with another agent. It's important to note that a board might say, and I've had this numerous times, we really love our agent, but we're very unhappy with their policy. And that's okay, because the agent can go out to different markets. Just because you don't like your policy doesn't mean you need to change agents. It just means that that agent now needs to market with another carrier. Keeping in mind, though, the list of carriers is getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing overall in the insurance industry is that it's becoming harder and harder to bind
It is
coverage.
definitely, it's a hard market. It's very thin, very, very thin, unfortunately. And we're at their mercy. That's the thing. We are at the mercy of the carrier. We're at the mercy of when of how they quote the declinations that I have been receiving, of when their renewals or when their quotes are released. We are at their mercy, unfortunately.
Yeah, and in the future for all the attendees, we will say we will be having another webinar in the future regarding insurance and also what you can do throughout the year. Not only when your renewal is coming up, but what you can do throughout the year to put your association in the best possible position to potentially lower your premium by doing a risk management inspection and taking care of some risk management items, which may help to lower your premium when it comes renewal time.
Which you
Dean, yep, go
The
ahead,
risk,
Dina.
the risk recommendations are often received about 6 months or so prior to renewal. They're sent by the carrier. An inspector might go out there, and that's something that the manager will speak to the board in order to resolve all of the risk recommendations that the carrier is requesting.
Great. Thank you, Dina. Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap things up, Dina?
No, I just thank everybody for coming. I hope that we answered some questions, and I hope that there is a little bit less of a cloud over insurance. We really do, we really truly do. My biggest passion for doing this is to get the boards the best possible coverage for the least amount of premium. And this insurance department is no extra cost to you. This is what Corner Property does. And we do it so that we can alleviate, as Andrew had said, some of the responsibilities of the manager, and they can focus on their day-to-day activities.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dina. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us today for Understanding Insurance Procedures, part of our Guided by Corner webinar series. We hope this session gave you a practical insight into how association insurance works from renewal preparation to policy binding. I'd like to give a special thank you to Dina for sharing her knowledge and experience. Her guidance highlights how critical it is for boards to have trusted insurance professionals and coordinators working alongside them. If we didn't get to your question today, we encourage you to follow up directly with us. On your screen, you have our email addresses, and we want every board member to feel confident navigating their association's insurance needs. At Corner Property Management, we believe that education and proactive communication are the foundation of successful community leadership, and that's why we created this series. Be sure to look out for future Guided by Corner webinars, where we'll continue bringing you timely, practical education on the issues that matter most to your boards. And if there's anything that you would like us to cover in a future webinar, please feel free to use those email addresses to let us know about that as well. Once again, thank you so much for joining us and attending today. We hope you enjoy the rest of your day and have a fantastic and safe weekend. Thank you so much, everyone. Be well.
Thank you.